Welcome back to another episode of Head in the Clouds. And this one I am beyond excited about. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love holding all of these, but tonight's one is going to be a really special connection. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Michael Gibbs. I'm the founder and CEO of Go Cloud Careers. And every day we get somebody cloud hired. It's my life and goals mission. And we also want to introduce you to some of the coolest technology in the world, some of the best people we know, and some leaders that we know to try and improve your knowledge of business acumen and the world. And the reason tonight is one of my favorites is we're going to discuss blockchain for healthcare. We're going to discuss a healthcare cryptocurrency and blockchain healthcare use cases. You might say, hey, Mike, why is that so exciting to you? Well, most people know I used to be a nurse practitioner practicing internal medicine, so healthcare is kind of near and dear to my heart. Many people know that I was involved in a massive cryptocurrency mining farm for a while because it was exciting and I love blockchain. And it's really exciting because we have a really great cloud architect on the show. A good friend of mine, Sujit, who's an amazing cloud architect. And before that, he was an incredible application architect. And he's got about 20 years of exceptional technology experience. We're good friends. And he's going to talk about what he's doing to improve healthcare in India with blockchain. He'll talk about the Binance blockchain tonight. We're going to talk about Indian crypto. We'll talk about cryptocurrency in India and Indian cryptocurrency news, because this cryptocurrency is designed to improve healthcare access and delivery in India. We'll talk about decentralized healthcare to a degree and blockchain for healthcare. Heck, we'll get involved in some NFTs for beginners because everybody should know what a non-fungible token is. We'll talk about blockchain healthcare payments, and that's a big challenge in our world, is getting everybody paid for healthcare. And of course, because we're Go Cloud Careers, and people I'm sure will ask us about their cloud architect career, cloud engineer career, we're happy to talk about that at some point too. And you can ask Sujit as well, because he's a great cloud architect as well. But we'll even talk about cloud-based blockchain perhaps tonight. So this is going to be lots of fun, lots of fun, lots of fun. And before we get into the discussion, my team has advised me to talk about a couple of things. By my team, I mean my chief operating officer who runs the place a lot of the time.
That's me. Got to keep you in line somehow.
Chris makes sure that I show up on time. I do what I need, and every dream that I have, he manages to find a way to get it done. So we love Chris.
Absolutely.
And first thing that I'm going to talk about is the free Azure Solution Architect Expert Bootcamp we're doing. It's completely free. We want to help everybody increase their cloud knowledge. And it looks like Azure is going to be a monster dominant player in the cloud space. They've overtaken AWS in terms of revenue. Now, it's their smart cloud, so we don't know where it's coming from, but it looks like a lot of movement towards Azure. So I want everybody to have Azure knowledge. So we're going to run a free architecture-based Solution Architect Expert Bootcamp in June, completely free on our channel. So sign up. It's free. Tell your friends it's free. Now, tomorrow, on my mission to get everybody that wants to get cloud hired, we're going to do a free interview session. Now, I've interviewed over 6,000 people in my life. And I've spoken to thousands of hiring managers, thousands of recruiters, and I know what the hiring manager wants. So I'm going to do some free interviews out there tomorrow. You will do them live. You'll get to see how you interview. You'll know if you're ready, and you're going to get to see what other people know. So I hope that's going to be really fun for you. Please join us. Now, it's Memorial Day. We all know that I have so much respect and love for the warrior community, as does Elonzo, as do we all. But Elonzo and I have a big background in that world. So pretty important to us to make sure we have a big sale for Memorial Day. So we're going to run a 30% off Memorial Day discount. Use coupon code Memorial. That's going to apply to everything we make. Everything we make. Cloud architect programs, cloud engineer programs, tech leadership programs like our Tech Career Accelerator program and our Tech Interview Mastery program. So there's that. But now let's get involved in the technical content. Let's get involved in the meat of the discussion. Cryptocurrency in India and healthcare blockchain. So we're going to bring in my good friend Sujit. He's going to come in soon.
Hey, there he is.
Hi, Sujit. How are you today?
Hey, doing great, Mike. It's so exciting to see you, everybody. We started this conversation as a cloud architect. We designed so many cloud architecture, whole team. Now I am in part of the crypto world. And getting back to you, this is so exciting moment for me.
And I'm so excited to see Sujit. So Sujit came to me for some leadership stuff at one point, but he was already one of the best cloud architects I've ever met. So, and in terms of his application architecture knowledge, incredible. Actually, the last time I saw Jit was about a year ago. He and his family were vacationing in Florida, and apparently there were a bunch of them, family and friends. They all showed up to help
Right,
him
back with
somehow.
your Mike store actually. So we got to know a lot about Mike, how incredible he is as a person and his, work. I wish everybody could meet Mike in person, in life. That's an incredible thing, I can say.
Thank you so much, Sujit. It was just, it was nice to see you in person. It's nice to see you in every time we talk. But, I know your heart, and I know you understand the magnitude of healthcare challenges. And it's not easy to get healthcare to people when they need it. And there's no perfect system. Trust me, I've consulted to the NHS. I've consulted in Australia. I've consulted in Europe. I've consulted everywhere. Healthcare is just tough. There's no easy solution. Who pays for it? How do you pay for it? How do you get the payments to the people? How do you get the corruption out of it? I mean, this is massive. And if we could solve a lot of that, we could really make healthcare better, faster, cheaper, and safer too. And I know a year or two ago, we started talking about a cryptocurrency you're going to make to improve healthcare delivery in India. So what is that cryptocurrency and why did you build it?
Oh yes, Mike. I'm the advisor of the coin called Quincoin. It's spelled like Quin, Quincoin. That's a utility token, you can say, based on built on Binance chain. It's called BEP20 protocol. That coin. Typically, it's a utility coin because every utility coin has one of the utility behind it. What cause and improves the whole society in general. This coin will help the healthcare services as a decentralized. So just to give an example now, in our mind, healthcare is not just to be given at hospitals, So the people should visit the hospitals when you are really, kind of emergency. Other than that, every care can be given at the home. So it's a decentralized, like we are bringing, so that people from the India, they can be serviced at their home. So it's a platform that we already it's a mobile based platform. You have a group of provider, they are registered in the platform. Then you have a group of people who can be registered in the platform, just like Uber kind of thing. As when you need, they can they can coordinate together and render the service. We being as a middleman, we help and facilitate the services. So it's more of a decentralizations. And also we are bringing the healthcare solutions where we can have the patient's data, all sort of information will be part of the blockchain, which cannot be tampered, which cannot be lost. The things will be secured and can be stored for a number of years, whatever you can say. The whole part of the crypto, which is a blockchain technology, is kind of immutable. Once information is part of the blockchain, nobody can tamper, nobody can change it. So this is the whole idea of our initiatives, that care can be given at your home. Care, we service the home, we service the care at your home, not just the hospitals. That's one of the
Stop
big.
you right there, because I want to
Yes.
introduce the audience to why that's so important, and then I want you to keep going. So one of the leading causes of death is actually something called a nosocomial infection, which means a hospital-acquired infection. When somebody goes into the hospital, how likely they are to actually get an infection. In some cases, it's actually worse than the problem they went to the hospital for. And it's called the nosocomial or hospital-acquired infections, and it's one of the most critical problems we face in healthcare delivery. Things like MRSA, which are drugs which are not treatable by other antibiotic and other antibiotic resistant, these things breed and live in the hospitals. And for example, the keyboards in the hospitals, 95% of them have this antibiotic resistant bacteria just sitting on them. So going to the hospital is a great place to get sick, and this is long before COVID. So if you can keep the non-critical people out of the hospital, you can prevent all of this. And what is a hospital really? It's a hotel. It's a medical hotel. In order to run that, it gets really, really expensive. So you pay 10 times more than the Four Seasons, but it's not the Four Seasons. So Sujit, I wanted to go right back to you, but I wanted people to understand the magnitude and the healthcare problem of getting sick in the hospital.
Yeah, sure. That's one of the thing, Mike. And again, let me tell you, the developing countries like India. I mean, you said United States is a hospital. I truly agree with that because I live in this country. I know how good the hospitals are, but luckily, not all the hospitals are like that generous or that has sophistication in servicing. Talk about the India statistics. We have one doctor, close to one doctor per thousand people, right? So think that how durable those services are, right? Certain times, and going through the pandemic like COVID, when the doctors are not available, nurses are not available. So this is a tool, this is a platform, where there is a televisit. Even though they cannot make it, they can do the televisit also online and can help. And a lot of time people when they fall sick, they do not know how to approach, who to approach. So this is one stop solution. Once they get into the platform, they know what to be done next. So there are many things that typically, it's not just a service. We feel very proud about it, because this will go and reach to the masses, especially the people who lives in the remote village or the places where the doctors and nurses, physiotherapists, they are really scarcity, are less available. This tool will definitely help, how to rescue.
I love that. You also mentioned something which is so great about blockchain in that it's immutable.
Correct.
So about 25 years ago, when I was still practicing internal medicine, I wrote a prescription for Percocet, dispensed 10 of them, because the patient had a minor surgery, and I wanted him to be able to get through the surgery but not become an addict. So I dispensed 10 with no refills. Well, I got a call from the pharmacy. Michael Gibbs, did you write a prescription for 100 Percocets? And I said, no, I never would. And she said, the pharmacist says, she says to me, I knew that. I know you, and that's why I called you. Whoa. So just think about that. If something changes by just one digit in healthcare, somebody dies. Now, in this case, somebody basically wanted me to prescribe a drug addiction for them, which I would not do. Or maybe they wanted to become a drug dealer and I was not going to help them with the process. I have no idea. But the point is, things change. So that immutableness of it is amazing, what she's talking about. So, I like this. So can you talk a little bit about the Binance blockchain?
Yeah, definitely. So Binance is a blockchain, so talk about the Quincoin. It's not a coin, actually, it's a token. So all the information, all the transactions that happen goes and stores in the Binance. So Binance is a blockchain. So typically the blockchain is thousands and thousands of computers in the world. They are connected and stores the informations. So in any somebody try to purge one of the machine, it's kind of a decentralization of the storing the information. Anyone trying to store the purge the machine, the other computers around it try to block it. They will never allow you. So the information in the blockchain are guaranteed and unimmutable. It's a totally purge protection. Nobody can purge the system. And just to give an idea, how we are leveraging the blockchain system, I'm telling you, in India, I mean, even the people, they go to multiple places and get the treated. So whenever you see, as you grow your age, you see the medical files. They hold the whole big bunch of medical file and go to the doctors. Doctor has to scroll through the medical files and find out, what's the history, because it's never centralized at one place. Having the blockchain, you centralize all their medical history at one place. So think about that. In our applications, a nurse is going to visit a patient. He do not have to go through the whole bunch of the records. As soon as he knows where he's going, he have a little bit of travel time. He can see, all the information in the blockchain. What sort of medication he's doing, what are the things that he's been through, what are the advice. So blockchain is helping tremendously, and this is what we're trying to bring it. Hopefully, that will be part of the one of the new application is in part of the Binance blockchain. It's one of the biggest blockchain that we already have existing right now. Binance, Ethereum, Tron. There are many blockchains exist in the world.
Absolutely. And, I just think it's great. But the other thing that I like, let's explain the hashing thing that goes on with blockchain, because this to me is fascinating. And the reason it's fascinating
Yeah. I need you to explain that to me.
I'll explain it because I'm pretty good at explaining this. And the reason I can explain this is I hate math. And because I hate math and I'm so bad at math because I'm a verbal person, I understand this because I did a lot of cryptocurrency mining. I'm sorry about this. I have a lot of chapstick on. I live in Florida, got sunburn, and I'm covered in chapstick, so that's why my face is shining. But here's what happens. If I take the letter A and I run it through a 256-bit hashing algorithm, it's going to produce a 256 character hash. Now that if I produce the A, it will produce the identical 256 character hash the same time every time. Here's why it's cool. You can't go back from those 256 characters back to the A. It's a one-way hash. So how does this mathematical wizardry work? I have no idea. Maybe Sujit will explain it to you because it's going to get deep, geeky. And if anybody wants that, we could probably ask Sujit because I'm not the math guy. But I think that's so cool. So here's the thing. We can have patient records, which are really critical and private. And we've got a hash of them. We can make sure they're there, not modified, and nobody can figure out what it is anyway because it's a one-way hash. So I just love that. Sujit, you want to talk about, if anybody wants, the actual geekiness of how that stuff works?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yes, obviously the blockchain, everything is part of the hashing. It's a part of the asymmetrical, people might be knowing some of the symmetrical as an asymmetrical algorithm. Asymmetrical, we're talking about the private and public key encryptions here. The information that you put in, it might be public, but once it tied up with the private keys, then nobody can access the only people can access it, and you access your information using your public key. So there's a little bit of cryptographic, goes in place. Not so deep, I have the knowledge, but it's asymmetrical, encryption that goes behind it.
It's very heavy in the weeds math. I mean, this is for seriously smart people in math. I mean, lots of people love math. I'm not one of them, but this would be good for my wife who can do calculus in her head. I'm not joking. She can. Now, here's the problem. You make a mistake, that person doesn't forget it either. So, there's good and bads when it comes with a big brain like that. Thankfully, I'm not quite that smart. I don't have that problem.
Yeah, and that's why the people use, the wallet. One of the big thing in cryptographic world is the wallet. There are many different kind of wallet exist, and wallet is your source of information where you put the informations, and that information will be accessed just by you using that key. Nobody else can. Once you lose the key, then you lost everything. So that's the key access of having in cryptographic world. Do not lose your key or do not hand out your key to anyone.
So okay, what you're telling me is this is not for me because I can't keep up with keys.
Let's talk about this. I'm going to give everybody a little safety advice with regards to cryptocurrency.
Right.
Do not keep your wallet on your computer. Your computer will be hacked. Don't do this.
Yes.
Now, I wouldn't put $1 billion on one single digital wallet. I wouldn't put my data on one cloud either. And I would never design a high availability thing on one cloud. I would use at least two, or a hybrid cloud, multi-cloud, or something good. So I would recommend multiple digital wallets, because if you've got $1 billion on one digital wallet and it crashes or doesn't work, you're done. So divide it, because things break, tech breaks.
Yeah, that makes me think of the, I was reading about the family that lives off of crypto, and they've got safe deposit boxes on at least two safe deposit boxes on every continent, where they've got different wallets. At some like in Europe, they've got more than like 4 or 5. But yeah, that way they're not keeping it with them, and they've got it in different places, and they don't have it all in one. They've got it. They have it all split up. And I can't. I have a hard enough time keeping up with this thing. My access key to my office.
Yeah. I remember pre-digital wallets. What I did is I created like 40 virtual machines. Each one had the wallet in it, and I had the virtual machines backed up onto other offsite storage. And I would boot them up, close them down after a couple minutes, and they were all in Linux. So and these virtual machines, they were pretty hardened.
My goodness.
So I see people putting in the chat box about cold wallets. I'm guessing that's what I just described.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I would assume hot would be connected to something.
Yeah. Yeah. So so like MetaMask, it's one of the wallet that very widely used. That's a hot wallet. You just put in your laptop, or you use access through your user ID and password. But there are certain, let's suppose I own, billions of cryptocurrencies, for example, my token. So as our organizer, they put some of the coins in a lock in a hardware wallet, so we do not want to lose that,
Yeah.
and some of the information that we bring in for trading, but rest is goes to the hard wallet. So
Yeah, you keep that's not the less stuff you have online. It's hard to hack something that's not online.
absolutely, so
Yeah.
possibly.
Trust me, if online banking wasn't as easy as it was, I wouldn't be doing my banking online. They just make it so easy. Like,
I don't do online banking.
yeah,
Well, even crypto is also very easy. It's just you're passing one address to the another address. Instead of handing out money or handing out check to one to another, it's just a wallet to wallet. Let's suppose you want to give me 100 BTC, or I'll give you some of the BTC. It's just one address to the another address basis.
Yeah, and nobody knows
Quite
who's
secure.
spending what. Nobody's
Yeah.
tracking your expenses. It's
Right.
not like you buy
Right.
something on the internet and it's like
Right.
you click on these 14 sites and
Right.
Google collects that information and then sells ads
Right.
based on that information and analytics. Like last time I talk on my phone, all of a sudden everything I talk about on my phone is now a display ad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep my phone in another room now. Actually I mean to, but I don't because it's always on me. I was responding with a text message at 10 o'clock last night, but I should not have done that.
Or you get multiple notices saying that, it's been another hack from another company and you got to change all your stuff over and over again. And the tempo gets to be like every 30 days at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. So let's talk. How do you pay the clinicians? So is it central blockchain like cloud-based or is it distributed? I think you said centralized, right?
Yeah, it is. Possibly it's a decentralized. The whole application is decentralized. We call it decentralized in our system because nobody owns the healthcare. It's like everybody, is part of this. We do not regulate the healthcare. It's governed by the ruling principle in India. What are the norms of healthcare? The doctors, the practitioners, the nurses, they have to follow it. But it's totally decentralized. Like this doctors or this nurse, they are just certified, but nobody owns them. For example, you go to the hospital, it's a centralized service, you being part of that. But in our case, everybody can join in our platform and being on it. So it's totally decentralized. Even the users also, they can choose any doctor, any nurse without getting through the referrals. So this process is 100% decentralized. So the whole idea is this is we are planning to use our coin as a utility token, like a payment system, right? Let's suppose there is an exchange. Instead of doing the exchange using the fiat currency is the money. Okay, so instead of doing that, we want them to do the transaction through the currency. But right now, Indian government do not allow that. They do not use any coin as a legal tender. Hopefully, coin will be like in future when everybody understands the value of the technology, blockchain, and brings the idea of the crypto. Then hopefully, once the government allows, then we'll use as one of the payment token. But at this point of time, what we do, we encourage all our providers or our people to hold the coins. So as you get the coins, you get a certain benefits. Like you could get insurance. You could get if you hold certain number of coin out of 4 visit, you might get the next visit is the free. All sort of things that you can come from that. So that's one of the perfect use cases that we are devising using our coin.
And I think you're going to running into the same challenge we ran here in America around 2017. So those of us that were cryptocurrency mining and we were selling and we would cash our cryptocurrency in and put it in our bank account to pay our ridiculous electric bills. The bank
Right.
accounts were like, "Are you involved in cryptocurrency?" And we'd say yes, and they'd say, "Your account's been terminated." Now it was pretty interesting. All the banks got together and terminated everybody's accounts because Bitcoin was going well. Every billionaire says Bitcoin's the worst thing in the world. Then lots of people, lots of banks got involved. There was a currency called Ripple that was formed. And then all of a sudden, all these Bitcoin mines are bought by big, huge businesses. Now cryptocurrency went up. Now it's down 50%. But I got to tell you, it's still up far from when I started with it. But here's the thing: the banks wouldn't let you use it. You couldn't sell it. You couldn't trade it. You know, to me, it's still a fiat currency. What's a fiat currency? It's a piece of paper that's backed by nothing.
Correct. Yeah.
Bitcoin is backed by nothing other than the faith that it's good. I don't care whether you call it an asset class or call it a fiat currency. It's the same thing. It's not gold. It's not hard currency. No, I'm not necessarily saying that hard currency is even better in today's modern world. How do you sell a brick of gold? You start doing gold dust, but so this is much better. But the point is I think that's just the early phases that people are like, I don't know, I don't like it. It's scary. People are losing business, but at some point. Now, you said
Exactly
one thing.
right.
I mean, do you see this as just the same thing?
I do definitely. It's all about the educations. Like people should know, understand. People, when you talk about someone cryptocurrency, they say, no, 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 we don't want to get into that. It's just like a matter of hold on. This is the thing about the technology. It's the blockchain, how powerful that technology. How so many big things are coming up out that. You have NFTs coming up. You have. Then the whole metaverse, new web 3.0 technology coming up. So trust in the technology. Cryptocurrency is part of that technology. I know it needed informations. We need to get a push down from the top, as the regulations get approved, and then know how to put a governance. The lack of model is now is the governance. Good thing about, I'll tell you, in India right now, India government is not saying no or not saying yes, just like the US government also, right? Because they are learning more. But one good thing Indian government has said, you can use your cryptocurrency, but whatever the profit you get, just pay 30% of the tax out of it, which is a very good thing. Let's suppose you invest on the cryptocurrency, you had a gain. Whatever the gain you do, you just pay your tax, and rest of the money is yours. It's not illegal. Okay. So the thing that we get, I mean, people. So we are working with our local government. We do not have the full access yet, but hopefully once we get the government, so even one state adopt that formula and get going with that, possibly it can reach to the national level. People see the benefit. How one state, just like in US and India, in US also, every state have their own rules and they can implement. Once things goes well, that can go, it gets the national attention and goes to the federal levels. Similar thing we're trying to do. The place that I'm working on, I'm coming from, it's one of the small place in India, but hopefully we get a lot of tractions and bring this to the global.
And that's the thing, especially because you mentioned that India's not sure what it's doing with it, like the US. Here's the thing: India's like a science capital of the world, one of them. So, an engineering capital. So it's kind of like, this is the cool technology. Oh wait, this is a little scary technology. It's going to change the way we live, work, and play. This is really cool. Should we do it? Should we do it? Should we be the leader? Hey, wait, I don't know. This is a little scary. So that's what I see in my mind. I envision in a meeting, in a cabinet meeting. Do we do it? Do we become the market leader in blockchain overnight? Or, what happened? How do we make money on this? How do we tax this? How do we control this? Do we lose power of people if all of a sudden, the world's central, we don't own the world's money supply anymore? So it's kind of exciting to see where it goes, though.
Yes. I mean, I definitely say, it's a early point. I'm not aware in this place, where the technology has been mature or the adoption has been mature, but we are someone who is knocking the door at this point of time. Once things go global in nature and people start adopting the technology, then we are certainly there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be adopted. It's a matter of when. And here's the reason why. I pay cash for everything, like literally everything. I would buy a car in cash if they'd let me. I just don't like having credit card bills, and I hate having debt. So wherever I go, I pay cash. I go to places and they don't even know how to accept cash anymore. I even give change. Sometimes people even struggle to give me change, and it's sort of like, wait. And my sister came to visit me, and she says, "What's that?" I said, "It's cash." So she says, "I don't do that. I pay with my phone." And I was thinking, like, what happens? And then, sure enough, I'm in an airport, and I see a young girl, and she's calling her mother crying. "I lost my credit card. I can't afford anything." And I'm like, "Here's $20. Go buy lunch." And it was just like, but I still use cash, and I'm a scientist, but I still like hard assets, even though,
Totally agree.
I like cash. I like crypto. And I think crypto is really exciting.
It is.
I really think it's exciting. So the one thing that concerns me, even though I love this and I think this is the greatest thing I've ever seen, is the same problem we have in the US. So here's the problem we have in the US, at least with the way healthcare used to be. So I'm a primary care provider. Somebody comes to me and I get to know them. So say Sujit comes to me for the next 20 years, I know Sujit. He comes in one time, I do a physical on him. He comes in 6 months later, he's got a throat infection. I look in his throat, I give him some amoxicillin, I send him home, and he's all kinds of happy. His daughter comes in, I know the daughter, I take care of the daughter. He comes in with his wife, I get to know him more. And at some point when he just got something that doesn't look good, I get alerted and I say, Sujit, I want you to see this doctor, this doctor, this doctor, this doctor, and want you to come back to me. And because I'm as the internal medicine provider, the family care coordinator, I now get all these reports and I can look at them and say, yeah, cardiology, nephrology both found a problem. Maybe this is the issue that they all missed. And here's the reason why. You go to a nail tech, they're going to do your nails. You go to a hair salon, you need a new hairstyle. You go to a cloud architect, you need to take your stuff out of the data center and move it to the cloud. We all find what our specialty is. And the whole point of the primary care provider is to be the person that farms them all out and manages it. And what do we do in America? We created an environment where people just go to whoever they feel like. And we lost that in the last 15, 20 years. By doing this, by enabling the people to go to whoever they want, how do you not lose that? Now, we already lost it in America except for HMOs. And the HMOs usually don't have the best doctors anyway, and the worst referral network. So we didn't solve it either.
Yeah, that's right.
Is there any way you can use blockchain to kind of work around that to make sure that periodically, every once in a while, somebody's got a primary care provider, like the quarterback of their care? I'm learning what the quarterback does in football because Chris was explaining a little bit of football, and my brother was explaining a little bit of football to me the other day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking, the information has to be somewhere has to be centralized. I mean, not centralized, decentralized. If you put it in a centralized place and what if, there is a crash and everything is gone, right? Blockchain is not at all centralized. It's a decentralized, thousands and thousands of machines, where it's very difficult to hack. What if you have all your information in one doctor's office and all of a sudden, it was burnt, they got the fire, right? So information has to be decentralized, it has to be put in the blockchain, be it healthcare, be it anything, like agriculture. There's some of the industry they are very rapidly coming up. Healthcare is obviously number one. Then the agriculture, supply chain, a lot of containers flowing in, they can be part of the blockchain. You do not have to go and see when the container is coming, what stops are there. If that is a part of blockchain, how easily those things can be, traceable. Some of the things like farm to market, means when like in a get together, like Thanksgiving, you need to know where the turkeys come from, what farm, in under what degree, on what temperature they grew those turkey, so you just so if you have seen, there are a lot of the local farmers, they're using a blockchain. It's very interesting. Once they have a barcode provided once you buy them from one of the grocery stores. Once you scan the barcode, you see everything part of the blockchain, how the turkey raised from a farm and come to your table. So that's called a farm to market table, farm to market project, which is quietly adopted, and especially living in the Texas, I see a lot of technology, technologically savvy and going into the blockchain, especially storing their informations. So I just spoke one use case, but think about how many use cases you can derive from it.
I really love that. Plus, I want to take the exact opposite side of that farm to table approach. So, and the reason I'm going to say this is, I went vegetarian for a long period of time. I didn't feel good being vegetarian, so I'm not vegetarian, but I went vegetarian because I didn't want to eat meat. So I went to my mother-in-law house, and she's trying to force feed me meat because they're Greek, and Greeks love meat. She's the most wonderful woman in the world. So she tries to give me the souvlaki. And I said, but I don't eat meat. And she says, it comes from the souvlaki tree. And I was like, oh, how cool that is. All right, I have to eat it. She's so cute, she thought of it. Anyway, but there's there. But here's the thing. Imagine there's an infection on the farm with their animals, and they send it out and distribute the food. They now know exactly who has the food. all those salmonella outbreaks. Just think about that.
Correct.
Think about the safety that you can do.
Correct.
Think about medical supplies that get lost.
Exactly.
Think about aid shipments that can send all over the world. Where if we can get the money to the people as opposed to a warlord, just think about how much it could do to help others.
Yes. Yes.
And we could track that with blockchain.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It's a very good point, Mike.
Yeah,
Totally.
that just blew my mind. So I spent a summer working on a research farm for what is now Monsanto. So I can only imagine. I would assume a company like Monsanto would have somebody looking into how this could be utilized with their seed. Because are there chemicals? Are there all of their products? Just because working on a research farm is something that's completely different than anything else in the world. I literally would be on my hands and knees counting the leaves on a cotton plant to see how this particular seed compared to this seed over here in the next row would do. So as soon as you said that farm to table or farm to market use case of blockchain or whatever it was, I mean, half of this is going over my head. The other half is like blowing my mind. And I'm sitting here thinking these billion and billion dollar companies like Monsanto and Syngenta and all these huge companies, they have to have somebody in there that's trying to figure out how to utilize blockchain for their products. Yeah. And that's just, like you said, that the idea of use cases for blockchain, I had never thought about use cases for products that either I buy personally or that my neighbor who farms 4,000 acres is buying from the seed company down the street. It's the use case is just mind blowing that farmers would be using it. And anyway, sorry, I digress. That's just, it just blows my mind.
Safe transport of medication, safe transport of technology.
Exactly.
When I went to Temple University, which was a great school, by the way, there were always 2 or 3 guys out there selling notebooks from IBM and Dell that were in boxes. And trust me, these guys did not work for Dell or IBM, and they were passing them around campuses. And I saw some of them that people bought. I wouldn't buy that because, how do you call IBM afterwards and say, but anyway, that wasn't me. But here's the point. They managed to have boxes and boxes. I think they furnished a third of the campus with these fake computers or whatever. They got lost. Nurses spend 25% of their time looking for stuff. Now we can do a little bit with RFID tagging, but here's the thing. All that stuff, it's all lost. Slippage in between shipments. We can capture it. We know where it goes. All that stuff that goes missing from shipyards. Not anymore. Baby formula that you can't get. You know where it is.
I just had another epiphany. So I grew up in Mississippi, and Mississippi is famous for their farm-raised catfish. Like any catfish in the United States, if it's American-raised catfish, it's probably from Mississippi. But they have a big problem with fake catfish, which is from Asia. I mean, blockchain. Boom. Can you prove it came from Mississippi? Yeah, sure can.
There you go. That's perfect word. Yeah, I like it.
I need to talk to my people back in Mississippi. It's like, all right, I got your solution. America's Pride catfish. Let's get to work.
That's true. Well, I would say, Mike, compared to the thing that you have been doing, a lot of cloud and other things, this technology is rather simple technology. You need to know how to implement and on the roll. I found it
To me, you implement one of these things, there's all this coding and software development. That's scary as heck to me. Anything related to coding, I'm an architect. Anything related to coding.
Absolutely. You just design, but hopefully just when you design the application, we just need to see the focus, how we can bring this technology to the blockchain instead of just designing a cloud solution architecture. Some of the data may reside in the cloud, thinking, coming out of that loop, just thinking, how we can bring it to the blockchain. That's all about. That's one niche area, in our technology segment.
So, I often wondered, why were the banks so resistant to crypto? Oh, if I want to send a little bit of Ethereum to Chris, it's a lot cheaper than 2.9% transaction fee. And it's a lot faster too.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we've got rid of all the middlemen at the same time.
Right.
With this great technology.
Yeah.
But you're in control of your own money.
Yeah.
Of course, we just took down the whole payment card industry, but you know. But it's a better, faster, cheaper solution. It's more secure. Was it Experian or Equifax that got hacked? All the people's credit reports were lost a couple of years ago.
Lost everything. Yeah, true.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was all of them at one point, and only one of them decided to tell everybody.
Yeah. Let's face it, when organizations have outages and we can't explain the outages, at least my brain always goes to hacking.
Yeah.
I mean, what else could it be? It's either they got hacked or they're so bad they don't know how to do basic things. So when I hear stuff that doesn't make sense, it's either
they got their network drunk. I mean,
yeah.
They did.
Here's my favorite. We had a global outage because we had a power failure in a single data center.
Yeah, I think we're beyond tripping over the cord at this point in time.
Yeah. Sujit, have you ever seen a power failure in a fully redundant data center in your 20-year technology career?
I don't, unless it's a disaster, Mike.
Yeah.
You mean a disaster that takes out two power companies, takes out the generators, takes the
Right.
diesel generators, and then one that
nationwide.
takes out the natural gas generators and the battery solar backup?
Right.
Yeah, that kind of disaster. Yeah, that could happen.
Yeah.
So, with blockchain, it adds a lot more transparency and honesty. So that's kind of why I love this. So early in my career, I knew a doctor. He was a nice man. One day, the FBI shows up with M16s in his office, and the feds pull all of his charts. Seemed like a really nice guy. You know what he was doing? Billing for patients that weren't there. Billing for diagnosis codes that didn't exist. And doing all kinds of fraud. So obviously he got caught. But, how many millions of dollars were paid to this guy before he was caught? That wouldn't go through on blockchain.
Yeah.
It wouldn't go through on blockchain. And it would show patterns of behavior.
Okay, so give that scenario again. Sorry, my mind, it went over the first time.
I actually forgot. What was I talking about yet?
I don't know. It went over my head. I was trying too hard to pay attention.
The physician. Never mind. The physician.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, you're talking about the physician.
Apparently, if I try too hard to pay attention to something, I don't pay attention.
Yeah, I forget things real quickly. But here's the thing. I knew this doctor in Philadelphia.
Right.
He literally was cooking the books, billing insurance for stuff that didn't exist.
Yeah.
Feds show up. I thought it was the feds show up. But anyway, they take his records and obviously it's criminally charged. You know how common that is?
Oh, it's very common.
You know the amount of Medicare fraud that's out there?
Yeah.
There was this one doctor, he was actually prescribing radiation to people who did not need it so that he could charge them. And some of them actually contracted cancer and died.
So what I'm hearing is that there's an opportunity for insurance and government to both be interested parties in the type of project that Quincoin and Sujit are doing.
Yes, because it can improve healthcare, it can improve security, it can cut costs out of the system. I mean, it can do it in so many ways. That's why blockchain is so powerful. It really can it just enables so much. So that's why I find it so exciting. There's so much corruption in healthcare. There's so much stuff that's lost along the way. There's drugs that are diverted to places they're not supposed to go, which are then sold by drug dealers, etc., in the wrong way. Here's something that I know a lot about because I live in Florida. And unfortunately, this is a South Florida problem. I don't write a lot of opioid prescriptions in my life. I've written 10 of them. Right after surgery, never more than 10 of them. And the reason I never read it is because when I went to school, we are taught, give the patients as much pain medication as they need to feel comfortable. The U.S. government came out and said pain is the fifth vital sign. The U.S. government even tied what they reimbursed doctors and hospitals to the level of pain patients had. So doctors and hospitals were then pushed to prescribe these drugs. And you know what else happened? Insurance companies would say, if your patients aren't satisfied, we're going to reduce what we pay you.
Yeah.
So what happened was in this country, we created a lot of drug addicts based upon trying to keep people's pain down. Now, I didn't do that, and the reason I didn't do that is I had a relative that was an opioid addict, and I knew how fast people get addicted. So when in school they said, do this, and I said, they'll get addicted. And in school they used to tell us, they won't get addicted. They'll become dependent. An addict will break into a building to commit a crime. Someone's dependent will just feel sick. And I said, okay, when I don't write that next Percocet prescription, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Nothing, Mike. I said, no, they're going to break into a bank just like an addict. They're
Yeah.
no different because they're not chemically dependent. My teacher thought I was an idiot.
Terrible, sad story. Yeah, I agree. Totally agree, Mike. Yeah.
But here's the point. When I lived in Palm Beach Gardens, I had a neighbor and in this gated community. He was a medical guy. I met him at the pool. I'm like, I'm a medical guy. You're a medical guy. Nice to talk to you. You know what happened? The feds came and picked him up. He was writing prescriptions for something called the paid clinic, which was selling meds to people. In fact, there were a couple pain clinics in Florida, and apparently all the drug dealers were coming to the pain clinics in Florida, getting huge prescriptions, and then flying home to their own families and states, and then selling on the street, and they were doing it back and forth. Those pain clinics have long been shut down. But there were doctors that were just writing inappropriate amounts of prescriptions. And here's what the DEA does to us. When we have DEA numbers, when we write prescriptions, the DEA periodically monitors what we do. And now they do. If I write a prescription for testosterone, for some ridiculous reason, it's a controlled substance, the DEA will look and see how often I prescribe it. Now, if I'm an oncologist and I have 10,000 patients that have cancer, it would be appropriate for me to give them any kind of pain medication they need to make their death journey as comfortable as possible, because they're going to die anyway. I'm not worried about them becoming an addict. But in a family practice, we should not be giving pain meds to a 40-year-old with arthritis or a 50 or 48-year-old with arthritis like me, because guess what? I have arthritis pain today, tomorrow, and the next day. Can't take opioids every single day. So we can track the inappropriate prescribing. We can find doctors that are selling prescriptions for medication. We can find people that are offering things that are not needed because we can track it. And we can do it without anybody watching. It's just on the blockchain. It's public. Everybody can see it. We don't need oversight agencies. We don't need new rules. We don't need regulations. We don't need cost. The tech does it for us.
Yeah.
Great. Absolutely.
So now bringing it back to Indian healthcare, Sujit, when a patient needs to go to the physical therapist, it's tracked, right? You can make sure they got paid on time, on budget, right?
Yes and no also sometimes, So, but yes, mostly yes. They got tracked where they're going, and using our platform, they obviously, what kind of service they are performing, what time, it's like a time recording also, the service they perform, the payment, what kind of payment they're charging. It's all recorded as part of our transaction history. Yeah.
But you can track the payments in the blockchain.
We can, but that's something we have not done yet, Mike. But this is our dream to bring it up.
So where's the future of this? Because this is super exciting for me. I think Quincoin's a really neat idea.
Yeah. Future, I wish we will be flourished once the government has the approval to accept the Quincoin as a payment token. We're still running on the fiat currency, but I hope someday the coin will be used as a legal tender for as a payment. That's one of the future. The other future is some of the projects that we are underlining on the blockchain, like keeping the medical history, keeping the track, prescription, everything is a part of the blockchain, so that we can help all our patients, doctor community, and the regulation. That's also something we are working on. And also at the same time, we are trying to pitch in, because as we know about the blockchain, the what do you call the certifications, the government, the university, they are issuing the certificate in the form of a paper, right, Mike? So when there is in India, when you get a job, then there is a lot of background verification goes through, right? A lot of people are investing, a lot of institutions are investing a lot of money just to go through the background verifications. If you imagine everything is part of the blockchain, the whole verification network will not come to exist. Like you have your degree, that's part of the blockchain. Everybody can see it. It's quite authenticated. Part of the blockchain. There is no false. Being a lot of populations, sometimes happens that there are a lot of fraud also activities happen. This kind of technology are a real preventions for the frauds that's happening around the world, you know. And
So
it's
much.
much cheaper. It's much cheaper, you know. Whatever the certificate you get, bring it as a digital certificate and put it part of the blockchain. You are done. You know, you don't have to worry about your physical security of the building. You do not have to engage someone for the verification, for the authorizations. You know, so it's a cost benefit. I hope it's the same case for the healthcare also. The whole idea is to give the good service, get the best doctors and nurses, you know, and everything is recorded as a part of the blockchain. So you are securing the informations in a way.
I love it. So let's talk about publicly traded companies and the actual CEO's job for a minute, because this is why I think this is so cool. The CEO's job of a publicly traded company is to increase shareholder value. That's their job. That's their agency. That's what they have to do. If the CEO does not do that, they either get fired, and if the CEO intentionally takes actions that are not in the best interest of the company, they can be put in prison. So now we know what the CEO's job is. I just think that's pretty. So now you've got healthcare paid for by an insurance company. So I want to buy healthcare insurance. Now insurance companies can't charge you what it costs, otherwise they'd be bankrupt. So let's think about this. Let's say my healthcare is $1,000 a month cost. So they have to charge me more than that, right? So let's see what goes into the insurance company. First thing they need to do is they've got to run a company. Now, a company with 3 people is a little more efficient than a company with 300,000 people. So you can imagine the exorbitant expenses to run a company. Now they have to run their real estate. They've got to run their lawyers. They've got to run their banks. So now we're dealing with billions of dollars of overhead that insurance companies have to do. And we have to pay the salaries of all the insurance companies. Now, if the CEO does not make the shareholder value go up, they get put in prison or fired. So how do they make the shareholder richer? They do one of 2 things. They grow the company stock so fast that the stockholders get money, or they issue a dividend, which costs even more money. So now think about this. You've got a CEO that has to return a positive return on investment to their investors. That means they've got to really charge a lot for the customer. So think about all that money that's lost in the process. Now, don't have insurance, you're financially bankrupt if anything occurs. You'll get care when you're sick. Emergencies always get treated, but you'll be bankrupt afterwards. So there's that. So think about all that fluff, all that expense. Now, blockchain, realistically speaking, it could be run on everybody's computers throughout the country for no money whatsoever. And heck, depending upon what you do with those computers, we can talk about it later. People could even make money while they're using those computers at idle. So think about pulling all that waste out of the system. I'm sure I'll have some unhappy insurance companies calling me within 24 hours, including companies that I've probably designed brilliant architectures for, but that's neither here nor there. But, think about that. All that money can go to healthcare. Now, how much does healthcare have to cost? Half? Less than half? Half? And everybody can get the same care for a lot less money.
Exactly.
But at the same time, the blockchain can be used to eliminate the fraud that we were talking about earlier, saving the insurance company money. So at the same time that you're eliminating costs for the user, me, you're eliminating cost for the insurance provider as well.
Yes.
So it's just getting them on board.
So we can reduce the cost for the insurance companies. We can reduce the cost for the healthcare provider. Now, when you get paid, here's what it's like billing an insurance company. I can tell you right now, I see a patient today. Now, if I have an HMO, I can't financially afford to see them, and I can explain to you how that works because it's really interesting. But I see a patient today. They've got a $5 copay. My staff, by the way, for the patient visit cost me $20. So anyway, I bill the insurance company, and 3 months later, they say, we're not going to pay for this because we didn't like this in your notes. Or we'll pay you this. It's a percentage of what you billed for. And it's going to be nothing compared to what it actually was or what it cost you. So that's what we're dealing with. We can just do it instantly here. Seamless. Does the doctor need to be paid as much for their care if they get paid what they deserve each visit and they don't have to just try and get as much as they can from one versus another? More efficient, safer, drug diversion. So I see blockchain in healthcare huge if it could be utilized. Now, here's the question, Sujit, I'm going to ask you. So, if I've got a computer around, I want to make money on it. I want its GPU making money. I want its CPU making money. Any plans on making this mineable, or do you want to keep it as an NFT? Both are good in today's world.
I don't know if Sujit heard you.
Yeah, Mike. Sorry, I was a little slow connectivity. I'm sorry for that. Can you just repeat again?
So what I was wondering is, so I'm a miner. The new trend is NFTs, which is not mined, but I'm a miner. If I've got a GPU, it can make me $5-10 a day based on what's going on. I think it's awesome. I got a lot of GPUs sitting around. So, if you buy something that's expensive, at least let it earn for you. Any plans on making this mineable, or is it more of an NFT play?
This is more of an NFT. We are also trying to bring some NFT marketplace. So, I mean, I'm sure for all our audience, NFT, some of them might know NFT. It's a non-fungible token, like it provides you the authenticity. For example, it's a perfect use cases for your arts gallery, some rareables, so that you can bring it to the blockchain and store it as a part of the NFT. So, for example, there are many websites. OpenSea is one of the good example where you go and find all the NFT items there online. So it's pretty expensive when you try to buy something from the NFT marketplace, and you pay the Ethereum as a gas fee. That's where the minting starts, and it creates a digital token for you, and that provides you the authentication that you are the holder of that digital certification. So I haven't dealt it too much into the NFT, but we are trying to bring the NFT marketplace. The only change here is, Mike, instead of using Ethereum as one of the gas fee for minting the NFT, we possibly can use our coin, or we possibly use our coin in the marketplace to do the NFT trading.
Love it. Fantastic.
Yeah.
You're taking the modern approach. Again, I still pay
Yeah.
cash. I said I'm a dinosaur.
Uh,
Well, who plays at the leading edge every single day? So,
Right,
you know what it is
right.
for me? When I can afford to be a dinosaur, it's really great. Chris, how does this website work? Hey, Mr. CEO, let me examine your network of 40,000 nodes. Yeah, I can design that for you. So I like to be a dinosaur when I can, which is almost never. How about you, Elonzo?
You're being awfully quiet,
You're being
Alonzo.
quiet.
I'm just, you know what, to be honest, I am really taking in blockchain. I don't know a lot about it. So understanding these concepts, understanding how they can be applied is really interesting. So I'm sitting here outside with my popcorn and lawn chair, getting all this information from Sujit.
And admittedly, I got a little geeky for this reason. Sujit's one of the smartest technology professionals I've ever met. And I love blockchain, and I get a little geeky when it comes to mining and blockchain. I try not to be a techie, but it occasionally comes out. So, having this conversation is just too much fun for me.
I
So,
mean, Mike, I just recall in our initial conversation, if you recall, we had a couple of conversations with you and my technical team.
Yeah.
We are so, what do you say, so astonished, looking at the Mike's knowledge on the blockchain, fabulous, all they deep down, and now I understand we are on the application side. We are trying to bring it, we are trying to see the use cases where we can chip in. But if you go to the bike, oh my goodness, the kind of question he puts to our technology team, they couldn't answer a
I'm
lot of
always
questions.
happy to play. The funny thing is, I
A
think that
lot of things
recently,
happen,
that's what my architecture career is.
Yeah.
I know how to apply stuff, which is great for the architect to go talk to the CEO about. And then we run back to our really smart engineers and say, how do we build this? Hey, wait, I still do this every day. Hey, Chris, I had this idea. How do we make it work?
Yeah. At the
That's
end
what
of the
chief
day, it's
operating
all
officers do. They
teamwork.
find ways to make things happen. They're incredible.
True.
Sujit, I was just thinking when it comes to, like, I think, was this last year, they had a couple of ransomware issues with oil, the oil
Correct.
refineries down here. How would that be applicable here, and how would you be able to
Yeah,
reduce, mitigate
very
that?
good point. Love it. I love it. I one of the good thing about the blockchain, I mean, that needs definitely a regulations. People find a easy way how to extract the money, and I believe the blockchain is the one of the most easiest way, because it's just two address space. I will go and ask you, give me money, $100. You say, here's my address, just deliver that to me, and
Yeah.
nobody will have a trap. It just two address space. I know authority can, I mean, the big authorities, they can dip down and find out who owns the address. You might be somewhere in Africa, somewhere in Asia, who knows, right? Right.
Yeah.
So that's where the regulations needs. And I'll tell you, this is people thinking, well, crypto is used just for a ransomware, crypto is used for fraud, crypto is used for some other cases.
Yeah.
That could be your fiat currency also. Somebody can put you in your shoes and ask you, give me $1,000 in cash, and they no trace also, right? So there are some negative cases. I know, people, the hackers, they are very familiar in the crypto world. They live on the crypto spaces. They find it as a easy extractions. I know there is some regulation has to be done how to curb those demerits, disadvantage. But at the end of the day, it's a good play.
Yeah.
The technology is a good play, I would say. But
You know,
yes,
So we've
early in
got
my
some
career,
questions
I'll
coming
go
in.
there in 1 second. Early in my career, I had a chief technology officer. You know what was great about him? He never worked in tech in his entire life. This guy was one of the best business people I ever met. And I remember meeting with him. And he says, Mike, here's our competitive advantage. If we can execute a trade a nanosecond faster than our competition, it's money for us. If we can make sure that our systems don't break when our competitors do, it's money for us. And I want to process more transactions than anywhere else. And Mike, if you can find a way to squeeze money out of the equation with tech, I like it. So I said, what do you want? He says, better, faster, and cheaper. You know what? He said, if the technology is better, faster, and cheaper, we need it. I'll tell you what, that was 20 some years ago.
Yeah.
In my experience, if there's a technology that's better, faster, and cheaper, the world will
Agree.
always adopt it.
Absolutely.
If it's 2 out of the 3, generally, and the only time they will ever do it if it's just one of the 3 is if it offers such a strategic advantage that there's no choice. Blockchain's better, faster, and cheaper, isn't it, Sujit?
Yeah, it is, Mike. Definitely. Just need a regulations on that.
Yeah,
We need
exactly.
regulations, exactly, right? What we are doing and what's the impact. We need to have a good feasibility studies, before bringing it to as a project. That's all. But
And I'm not
definitely,
after regulation. I could live with the market regulating itself, but
right.
I can see the benefit of having regulations, and you need some. I can also see, let the market govern itself. But here's the key: it's better,
Right.
faster, and cheaper.
Yes, agree.
Chris,
Sure.
you got to be thinking applications like this. Your brain runs at 18 million miles an hour.
I'm looking through questions, getting us ready for the next phase.
Okay, that works.
Oh.
I think about the regulations, but I also think about the counters that a lot of those who hide behind regulations to try to
Yeah.
break the law, do their dirt, stay in that gray area. Those are usually kind of like the lobbyists from the political side who will try to resist this new the existing technology to keep things status quo. It's like anyone who's selling the gas guzzling machines and everything else in lieu of electric vehicles. They're going to buck technology in play of losing their position in finance.
It's so true. I remember, we're going back a long time, the phone companies were trying to make it that the cable companies could not deliver phone services, and they were pushing their lobbyists there. And the cable companies were pushing it that phone companies couldn't deploy TV. They were spending more money on lobbyists to try and make each other's competition grow illegal. So to me, regulation does just that. It enables the people that can really afford the best accountants, lawyers, to wiggle their way through the regulations and do great stuff.
Yeah.
But we need to know what's going on. So it's a balance of,
Yeah,
not too much, not too little. There's always an optimal level.
exactly.
Very true.
We don't want to make it expensive again and take all the better, faster, cheaper out of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
But at the same time, I don't think we really want drug dealers just drug dealing throughout the world either. So there's got to be some way.
Yeah.
All right. So since I stopped paying attention and started looking at questions, I apparently somehow we got to drug dealers. I don't know how we got. I don't know what happened when I stopped
Where
paying
did that topic came from?
You know what? Was
But
that the action word that you picked up?
apparently,
The
I
only
don't.
one.
I can't stop paying attention. This is where
Well, we were talking about safety and using and
Exactly.
regulation versus lack of regulation.
And he picked up that term.
I'm making sure we're staying in the safe zone, and that's not the safe zone. See, I heard you talk about politicians, Elonzo, but I wasn't bothered. But then apparently Mike mentioning the D word.
I did say a dirty word.
I gotta come back. So, all right. So
How much time we
anyway,
have on these, Sujit?
do what?
So Sujit, you got to do more of these. Heck, I
Yeah.
still think you got to bring your family back, and I can teach them yoga, which I thought was hilarious.
Oh my goodness, yeah, Mike, love to see you again and again and again. I would say, in the whole
We've
world.
actually got some questions for Sujit in the chat box.
Good.
If you do
They're
you,
pretty
do you
good
have time
questions.
to take some questions, Sujit?
Yeah, I would love to take some questions. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'll start bringing them in here.
Awesome.
So this one is from Malcolm, who I just found out is from near where I grew up, and we
From the
both have
SIP.
an affinity for a certain donut shop that unfortunately no longer exists. But yeah. Anyway, so Malcolm asked, "Will crypto HSAs?" And this one may be from Mike or Sujit. Will crypto health savings accounts be a future healthcare product? What do you guys think of that?
I mean, I will think in terms, for the people who holds the coin, if they are part of the, part of the utility. Typically, think about the same concepts. Well, first of all, these concepts do not exist in India,
Right.
But if these concepts do exist, then definitely someone is holding the coins. Someone who is a part of the ecosystem, is a part of the family of Quincoin, then definitely this could bring the leverage or the part of it.
I think for us, we have to figure out what is crypto. So to me, crypto is a fiat currency, just like anything else. Here's a fiat currency, something that's backed by nothing. This is a fiat currency. So is the US dollar. It's backed by nothing other than the good faith in the US government. And so is Bitcoin to me. But for regulatory purposes, the US considered Bitcoin to be an asset, not a currency. And that's where they're looking at some of these cryptos.
Yes.
So as an asset, not a currency, how do you buy it and put into a healthcare savings account? Can you put gold in your healthcare savings account?
And
Can you put a house into your gold savings account?
Yeah.
So that's what I wonder, Malcolm. I love the question. I think, any way we can do it. I want to pull something else. I never said that doctors are going to become drug dealers without regulation. I said that there are some doctors that were misincentivized by large amounts of money that did bad things.
Yeah. We
take a Hippocratic oath that says do no harm. And for the 99.999% of the people, we don't need anybody looking over us. We're good, caring people. But I said that there's a few bad actors. There's bad actors in every world. I never said anything like that. And do I believe that?
All right. So here's our next question. And thank you for addressing that, Mike. Make sure we got that clear. So Pawan asked, apart from the immutability of the data, what else defines blockchain and separates from other
I like
technologies?
this question.
Yeah, that's a good one. See, that's what Elonzo and I need to know. We don't know to ask it.
Right. This is why I'm sitting in the stands. It's because it helps me to understand this.
Yeah.
So Sujit, break it down for us, guy.
Well, I would say, of course, security is one of the things, other than the immutable. Data being available, it's not a centralized that one place stores the data. It can store the data in the multiple places and multiple computers. They never lost. data. Data could be part of that. Uh, so that we think of. And reliable information is reliable. You can trust the information. It's not a database you go into the database and hack it. Do one update statement and it get updated at one place. Hacking is never impossible. You have to manipulate the data in the millions and millions of computer. And part of the cryptographic technology, if one of the computers get hacked, then the other computer in the system reject that computer, take him out of the network. So never possible in hacking. The information who is a part of the blockchain. So there are many. These are some of the intangible benefits I can see. Part of that.
There's a couple others which I'll talk about. So the reason blockchains were invented, it all starts with where money was stored and accountability versus ledgers. So let's take a bank.
Right.
The bank has a centralized ledger. That bank has all its customers' money in the bank, and you know who can see it? The bank.
Exactly.
Do you know how much money your bank has to pay back? Meaning, if all the people ask for the same money at the same time, you have no knowledge or idea whatsoever because it's centralized in the bank's ledger. A blockchain is distributed, and depending upon how the blockchain is working, you may not need anything other than a couple of servers to set it up because it's all running on everybody else's hardware on the blockchain. So Chris in his home can see, exactly who's got what transaction going through it. There's no way to hide it. So one of the reasons blockchains came is this distributed computing, which may require minimal or no infrastructure based upon how it's being done. So it's that ability for instantaneous, all those great computer things that he's talking about, it's distributed computing. It's kind of the exact opposite of cloud. What is cloud? Go from a data center to a massive data center that has everything all in one building. Blockchain's the opposite. Spread your load across the world's computers. So the infrastructure costs are like nothing, but also your systems aren't getting hacked because they're on thousands or millions of computers as opposed to just one company that could get hacked. Much better technology. It's just that it's like basically the exact opposite of cloud. It's all distributed versus poof, put it all in the same building.
Exactly. Very well explained. Very well.
All right. So let's see. The next one here is I think they've got a typo in here. So the serious question: what about the electric? And I'm assuming this is cost.
Yeah.
It's technology.
Electric costs money. It costs money. So how our blockchains run? I was doing cryptocurrency mining. So California charges 36 cents a kilowatt hour if you use a little bit of electric. Florida charges 12 cents per kilowatt hour at the time. McPherson, Kansas charged 5.9 cents per kilowatt hour. So where do you put your blockchain? In Washington State, where electric's cheap. Certain parts of Canada where electric's cheap. Any place where the electric's cheap. So it's called arbitrage. Move your money where it gets the most value. And where else is it good? This stuff produces heat. Maybe in the cold in the future where we can cool it down.
Yeah.
But it's resource intensive. Here's the thing. Computers are resource intensive. Our world is resource intensive. If we don't like resources and we don't like tech, then we don't like electric because these things suck up tons and tons and tons of power.
So would that be the case with Quincoin? If Quincoin's NFT and not mineable?
Then it doesn't use anywhere close to the electrical resources though.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's much more green.
So mineable cryptocurrencies are the resource intensive.
Yes.
Okay.
And that just runs 24/7. There's no turnoff point. It just goes and goes and goes. And
So if you really think about how we're doing these, Elonzo, basically what happens is these machines, whether it's a GPU, a fully programmable ASIC, an ASIC, or CPU based upon the algorithm, every time they create a hash or a mathematical calculation, there's a mini payment periodically. Call it like a transaction fee. So the more hashes you run, the more time you get paid. So the goal is to build these computers up to be as big and fast as powerful, which means they guzzle electric because it takes more power to do more things. Kind of like a Ferrari uses a little more gas than a Toyota Corolla.
So going through these particular time frames, it's offsetting its costs while it mines itself. So that's how you're able to continuously mine and finance your resources with the electric. Is that the concept that I'm
Yeah, perfect. I'll give you a perfect example. So, buddy of mine, when everybody got out of Bitcoin, he bought 4,000 Antminer S9s. Now, the reason people got out of Bitcoin mining with those Antminer S9s is they were generating about $3 a day of coin, and they were costing the average American $4 a day. So, it didn't make sense. In McPherson, Kansas, cost $3 a day, and the guy was paying $1 a day in electric. So for these 4,000 things, he was making $8,000. It was brilliant. Then Bitcoin went up, and then he was making $20,000, $40,000, $50,000 a day based upon what Bitcoin was worth, off of stuff he bought for basically nothing. So the key in mining is the following: when you're for GPU mineable coins, you're overclocking them, whether it be, and you're undervolting them to try and produce as much hash with as low voltage as possible.
Okay.
We went from CPUs, which are slow, to GPUs, which are parallel processing, which are fast, to fully programmable ASICs, which are moderately fast but customizable, to application-specific internet circuits that can do things unbelievable. You can buy a Antminer that can do basically 100 terahash right now, which is 100 terahashes per second. A CPU might do 2,000.
That's insane.
And maybe get 5,000 out of one of these new massive AMD monster servers that you can have to run a cloud on. The clouds are running on. So just think about that.
So we've got a follow up kind of related to that. So here we have a question for Sujit. How would developing countries get resources for blockchain technology, since it does take tremendous electricity and is resource intensive? Any insights there?
Yeah. So definitely the blockchain technology do not take a lot of electricity. Okay. It's when you mine something, then when you need a lot of computations power, then you need a tremendous electricity, right? For example, if you are mining a Bitcoin, if you are mining some coin, which is very hard to mine in these days because they use the technology of halves. As you go closer to the end of the coin, the mining is very difficult. That's why the technology comes in. But typically thinks about the blockchain, the entire world of the blockchain. Not necessarily the blockchain has to be in your country only. You are leveraging all the computer resources all around the world.
And I think it was Newfoundland, which was the cheap place in Canada, where the rest of Canada wasn't cheap. But that's the point in this particular case, and I never put anything up there. There's always places that are cheaper. It doesn't matter where it's located.
Okay.
So let's relate this question back to what you're doing with Quincoin in India. So this is not a mineable cryptocurrency.
This is not a mineable.
Therefore, it's not resource intensive.
Absolutely. We're trying to.
What concerns or hurdles might there be? Because that seems to be where this question is coming from. What obstacles or hurdles might there be?
First of all, this is not a mineable because this is a token, okay, and we are leveraging the blockchain. It's a bigger network, blockchain network that ever exists in the world right now, the Binance, right? So think about it. It's our token. On the top of that, there is a entire blockchain. So whatever we do on a token that get registered in the blockchain, right? We do some sort of transactions using our token, right? Let's suppose I pass the token to Mike and you. That's the transactions, right? That lives on the blockchain. You used to go and BSC scan, which is a blockchain ledger. It will show you, party A distributed the money to party B, some token. So we are in the technology. We are leveraging the technology. What we are looking for is the use cases. How we can get a project where our token will be used as one of the component, which can be used like a money. That's where we are leveraging at right now. We have done our token. We have 7 billion token in our positions right now, the Quincoin, right? As we start to leverage and find the multiple use cases where the token will be used, then the value of the token goes up. This is the whole about the blockchain.
So true. But I want to address Bader's perception there, because actually people in developing nations are earning a living and surviving on blockchain technologies and surviving on mining. So when we look at the poorest countries in the world, where the citizens are the poorest, countries where there's a tremendous amount of regulation, where it's hard to work, Venezuela is a good example. There's people in Venezuela that are earning a living because electricity is subsidized by the government. So because electricity is subsidized by the government and there's so much poverty, people are mining with their GPUs. They're getting their hands on old expired ant miners off of eBay and they're earning a living on it. So there's a lot of people. There were people in Russia that were getting subsidies and electric that were mining in these data centers. So a lot of people in a lot of places where they don't have money are earning a living because of this.
Totally.
So it's how will developing countries get the resources? You can use your personal computer as a resource. You can use your graphics card to make a couple of bucks on this. Certain coins are CPU mineable.
Yeah.
People can mine on a Raspberry Pi. Now the point is some of these things make sense, some of it doesn't. You have to run the analytics per coin. But that's how lots of poor people in developing countries are earning. They can earn more money sometimes with blockchain than they can in their real jobs.
Correct.
What's the average blockchain? How much can you make, being from another country who utilizes that as income? What is usually an average amount that they can live off of?
Electric or free. And somebody could somehow manage to get you 4 GPUs.
Okay.
And each GPU could make $5 a day. That's $20 a day, which is $600 a month. Now, I want you to think of this. There are lots of amazing people in developing nations that live on $200-300 a month.
Yeah.
So that's double that for doing nothing. So now they can do that. They can work their jobs, and maybe they hold on to some. The blockchain goes up. So blockchain has been incredible, and the cryptocurrency mining has been incredible. That's why I was excited about how you could use computers to help improve people's wealth from the stuff they already had in their house.
One other question from Sujit. I think you had a total on the website. I think it's 700 billion Quincoin. Is that all you all are going to generate, or is that going to be just a starting amount of currency?
No, this coin is not at all any further mintable. That's the coin we have it. It's already mintable to that point. Now we need to.
That's true for every cryptocurrency. There's a limited supply.
Yeah.
So with mineable coins, once all the hashes are done, there's nothing else to mine.
Right.
Yeah, and it would create crypto inflation, or it would.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Once we run out of new stuff, the price goes up.
Yeah. So we've got another question here from Angelo. So are there any security considerations or risk with blockchain solutions?
Yes, security is paramount for every technology. Yes, it has to be considered. Though blockchain has a self-defense mechanism, do not allow any sort of mutable on any sort of fraud. But you need to consider, who are you dealing with, what sort of transactions are coming in, because blockchain is can receive anything, but you need to define what are the things need to go out of the blockchain and what are the things should stay as a part of the blockchain. So yeah, it is needed.
And the chain is typically run on a few servers too.
Right.
So that means firewalls, IDS, IPS systems, access lists on your routers, layer 2 access list, 802.1x authentication if you're in the data center, or security group if you're in the cloud. That means locking down those servers, disabling those unnecessary services, patching them, host-based IDS, anti-malware, and all the other stuff that would even go on top of that. So that stuff needs to be really locked down, Angelo.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's see. Abhishek asks, is blockchain useful only for authenticating purposes?
No. We just talked about
not only
30 or 40 different business reasons to use it.
Right.
Gotcha.
But it is a good way to determine who the users are, or I should say the transaction that it occurred, when it occurred, and how it occurred. And your wallet can verify your endpoint.
And he also asked, what technical skills does one require to work in a blockchain world?
Oh, let's define blockchain world first, because we need to know what you're talking about, Abhishek Sarkar. So here's what I mean. Are you a blockchain architect? I've done some blockchain architecture, which means I talk, I design, present, and sell. Now, are we talking about a blockchain developer that does the coding? Are we talking about a blockchain engineer, which might be a hybrid? So there's other blockchain things. Are we designing wallets? Are we designing coins? So tell us what you'd like to do in the blockchain, and we can give you all those technical skills, but it's like anything else. Are you a fighter pilot? Are you a passenger pilot? Are you a driver of a tractor trailer? All special training, all different careers. How would you say, Sujit?
No, definitely, Mike. Yes, absolutely. I mean, this is a whole community. Everybody can part of the blockchain, I definitely say, but it has to be defined, what's your role and responsibility. So because of that, everything varies.
Yeah, people don't realize how big blockchain is. It's huge. It's huge. So
Yes.
It's not the kind of thing that just one person could learn at all. It's you focus on this, you focus on this, and maybe
Absolutely.
30 years later, you become an expert on that one small topic.
Right.
All right. So let's see.
That's a great question, though.
Yeah. Moving on, our next question is blockchain doesn't require infrastructure. Is that true?
It requires infrastructure. As I said, we own some of the infrastructure, like the coin token. We own part of the blockchain, where we'll be putting our data in. So it requires infrastructure, yes. But it's a congregated infrastructure that the whole entire world share it.
Yeah, and it's minimal infrastructure compared to other things.
Other things, yes.
So when we're talking, I'm trying to envision what a blockchain infrastructure would look like. So Mike mentioned just a few minutes ago that I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said a couple of servers, something, a couple of servers, and it made me think: is that it? Is that the entirety? It's on some servers and it's got security.
In the blockchain,
Okay.
like with some of these mineable coins, it's a couple of servers that kind of host the whole main thing, and clients that exist in everybody's system. So it's not that much.
Wow.
No, with what Sujit's talking about, it might be more. So he can talk about that because that's not a mineable coin where it's like everywhere. But it might still be. So how are you doing it?
Just if you can, just a general idea of a high level explanation of what it might look like.
About the blockchain?
Yeah, like what the high level explanation of the
infrastructure.
infrastructure would look like.
So like, we own the token. So we own some of the infrastructure, like wallets, different kind of wallets, like hardware wallets, software wallets. They are also part of the infrastructure, right? The second thing we need a node, because we need to do the validation service run at our side, like what sort of transaction is coming in, which should be part of a good transactions or a bad transactions, a validator system we need. Also, at the same time, we are also one of the computer part of the Binance blockchain, right? So the information, so we own a server also for that, So similarly, let's suppose you bring your own token and you also part of the same BEP20 protocol. So you own also a couple of nodes, right? Mike also, and a million people in the world who bring. So then think about that. It's a complete mess architecture, not a mess, So everybody's connected in this part of the blockchain, and you have a contribution to the infrastructure. So it's a series of networks. You can see they are all interconnected. It looks like it's not just like Mike mentioned, one big cloud. It's not like that. Even blockchain can run on the cloud also instead of in your machine, right? So it's a group of machine. Think about that. The whole everybody's machine is part of the blockchain.
I think it's neat.
Yeah, that's interesting. So let's see what we've got here. So our next question, what decides the price of any crypto-based coins when it's not backed by any asset or any government institution? Can I give what I think the answer is?
I think you should do it. You've got a good MBA, you've got a good finance background. Can explain
right.
So if it's not backed by a government or any asset, it's the same as if it's backed by the government and an asset. It's what you believe. When the collective believes that something has value, it has value. If the collective does not believe that it has value, then it's worthless.
Much
Exactly.
like the gorilla NFTs that we see.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same concept as GameStop being a $400 stock. It's like this collective of people
Yeah.
believed, all right, it's going to be worth it because I'm going to make it worth it. And next thing you know, it's $400.
It's amazing what collectivism can do when a group of people are focused on getting things done. So,
But,
but you know what?
but to be serious though, I mean, it is based in some reality. Like obviously the value of the US dollar is based on everyone's belief that the US government is worth this debt. And the US, not just the US government, but the US people, the US corporations, the US everything is worth it. And there's some proof to it historically. But yeah. So back to the question: what decides the price of any crypto-based coins when it's not backed by any asset or any government institution? The same as the U.S. dollar, because the U.S. dollar is not backed by anything technically right now since
But
1971.
let's take a hard asset, because we're always going to get into supply and demand curves, and most of our channels are architect, and everybody needs to know this. Gold. Do you know gold in 1980 was about $1,800 an ounce? Now gold's about $1,800 an ounce. Now, we've had 3 to 5 times inflation since then, but gold has not caught up with inflation. Now, I think gold is incredible. It's a hard asset, but here's the reason. People didn't believe in gold enough. So with anything, the stock price, Facebook had some bad news. Their stock price is down huge.
Yep.
AWS had a bunch of outages and some bad earnings, and their stock price is down like 30% in the last 2 months. It's huge. So value of a US dollar, value of a stock, value of gold, volume of Bitcoin is based upon price of tulips in Denmark. What's the price of housing? What's it based upon? All one thing: perception, 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 and supply and demand curves. If it is deemed to be good, if it is deemed to be desirable, and it is short supply, it is expensive. Go look for one of those toys you wanted to get for your kids 30 years ago, the Cabbage Patch doll. The price was $8 on it, but you couldn't buy it for $8. You could buy it from your buddy's buddy for $300 if you were the hero father or mother for your kid, which was like a week's pay in those days, because it was deemed in demand by every kid and there was no supply.
Exactly. I mean, it's the same thing with Apple and iPhones. I mean, it's
Well,
like
PS5
Blackberries didn't all of a sudden just stop being good.
Yeah.
Apple just had a really amazingly perceived product. And, say like Nokia. I mean, Nokia was on top of the world for like 15, 20 years. Had the best, everybody had a Nokia phone.
Yep.
Everybody had a Nokia phone. Now nobody's got a Nokia phone. But anyway, I thought that was an interesting question.
It's such a good question, but what's the price of a cloud architect salary? Well, it's based upon supply and demand. So there's a limited supply, the price is higher. Oh, wait, if you have something that makes you more desirable, like executive communication skills, that could add 30% because it's a rarer skill. It's really easy to find a calculator monkey that knows a bunch of tech, but how hard is it to get an executive that can talk to the CEO, influence the CEO's budget, design something, and then has the back end skills to go find all the official smart people in the back to make sure that whatever works is the best thing in the world. So that person's paid more because it's a rarer skill. It's all supply and demand. It's all based upon one thing: supply and demand curves.
Yep. So I've got a couple more crypto blockchain, we'll call it Sujit related questions. So and then I've got a couple about Go Cloud careers in our program that I want to get to.
I love answering them, but let's put all the official tech stuff to Sujit. He's a great architect, but he can get techie too.
Yeah. So Aquo asks, is crypto mining purely a function of compute? What are the cloud hyperscalers doing in respect to mining and blockchain?
Okay, so
that just went.
You want to answer that, or you want me to answer that as a miner?
Yeah, mining is a totally compute function. Definitely. Yeah.
So, Aqua, pretty
Mike,
much there's
you
no
would answer
mining
it.
being done in the cloud. And here's the reason why. It's too expensive. So anything on the cloud is more expensive than if you own the hardware. Typically 2 to 3 times more, and that's how they survive. So if you're going to need a system to do it, let's say you need a GPU, you don't want to be using a GPU optimized instance or anything like this because the CPUs are too slow. So all those hyperscalers, forget about that. So now you're into GPU computing, and you buy a GPU, cheap GPUs for like $2,000 and put a bunch of them in there, and basically have a $12,000 machine, or you go on the cloud and pay $12,000 every 2 weeks for the system, and that's what it would cost you. So you can't afford to do it on the cloud, and also you can't afford to do half of the coins on GPUs anymore because they take too much power. You have to do them on ASICs, and ASICs are just chips that can just do one thing, but they can do it so fast. Like we're using ASICs to do encryption to pull the overhead off the CPU, for example.
Yes. Yes.
That's a really great question that Aqua answered, an extremely good one.
All right. And then this one is specifically for Sujit.
Okay.
And I'm going to put it up here. So, because I think we talked around this about you use Binance, but how do you plan to sell Quincoin? And why would people buy it if they can use rupees to get similar services? So I know we've addressed these both kind of separately and in pieces, but
yeah. So I see that. Yeah, I see there are two aspects of this question. So first, I will address, how do you buy and how do you plan to sell Quincoin? So definitely, it's asset that we want to sell it up so that in due future of time, the value will grow. Think about the Bitcoin. At one point of time, nobody was looking at that. Now imagine, right? Over the course of the time, over the course of the period, when people see that it's a real token, it's backed by a team who knows what they're doing, it's backed by a certainly good project, and it's backed by a solid community. That's how the value of the coin, goes up. So, I don't want to run a promotions here, but we are early birds. Like our coin is like very low value, like you pay a little money and you have a millions coin in your hand. Who knows that each coin might yield a single dollar, if you have a good projects, if you have good everything. So how do you plan to sell the coin? We sell it through the exchange, centralized exchange. We currently have one exchange, and we are bringing up our own exchange. So that's
Wow.
also that's also one of the thing, where we sell our coins also in India. So people
You're
who are
creating
interested.
another exchange. That's impressive.
Yes, Mike. So we already have our own exchange. The Bitcoin.io is our own centralized exchange, which is registered in India and planning to do more operation in India. So totally we are centric in India. Everything is happening in India, but it can certainly go in global.
He's got some incredible engineers. I spoke to them, and they were scary smart over there in India.
scary smart. I like that.
Well, Mike scared them actually putting some questions, So, but it's all...
Mike's good about that.
Look, I
no,
always
Mike's
look at
question
the
was
world and think
separate.
differently. I don't know. So usually things just, I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So is there? I think that's the last. So yeah. So that's our last question related to our guest. Is there anything that before we move on to talking about what we talk about all the time? Is there anything else that you'd like to add to the conversation, Sujit?
Oh, it's an incredible pleasure, being the team, with you. I know I personally work with you, part of designing and solving the real world problem. Right now I'm a little off from that. Hopefully I come back and sit with you guys, being the part of the discussion and everything. But thanks, thank you, all our listeners. Go part of the Go Cloud and the people from our team also. They'll listen to all the folks. I always in my team also I always talk about Mike. Who is Mike? How incredible he is and what the incredible job he's doing for our community. So hopefully through this message, they will get it, and I love to be part of with everybody. And thanks for their time as always.
Well, thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing the amazing things you're doing to improve healthcare. I mean, seriously, you're trying to make the world a better place. So thank you for that. Now,
Thank
you
you,
also
Mike.
mentioned tech blockchain, but I know Sujit. He was one of our students. He didn't need to be our student. He came to our student for other reasons. Sujit's just incredible. And I try to bring all the best and smartest people I know with you to try and really help you out. I try to bring them on live.
Thank you very much, Mike, for giving this opportunity. Always true.
Thank you.
Awesome. It was
Thank-
awesome hearing from you, Sujit. I
Yeah,
really
thank-
you helped
Come
me.
back.
Helped me
We
with-
miss you. You have no idea.
I certainly love to get back. I know there was a little thing on my personal front. I'm up and running now, Mike.
I'm so happy.
Yeah,
we
I'll be
might, we
getting
might
back
have to
soon.
have you in a class again.
Right, right.
Yeah.
You won't believe, I always follow everything, even though I'm not part of it. I go to Mike's YouTube, be it's a video, not live, but I watch him. I watch everybody use.
All right. So I'm gonna do this. So everybody in the chat box, give us a hashtag cloud hired if you want Sujit to come to class. He's been absent for about a year. So give us a hashtag cloud hired if you want Sujit to come back to class.
And I want Sujit to come back to class. So please give me a hashtag cloud hired.
Oh yeah. So that's there we go. Yeah, Elonzo started off there.
Oh, my goodness.
Thank you, Tal.
Yeah. See, they want you to come back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hoorah, Malcolm. Thank you. Alonzo.
Oh.
Mark Simpson. Oh, love the dog. Mr. Businessman over there in Georgia.
All right. Well, thank you again, Sujit. You're more than welcome to stick around. We're going to get to answering some questions about the program and what we do at GoPath Career. So you're welcome to stick around.
I will.
right.
This
I'm
is my
thrilled to
community
have
and
you.
my
Please,
family
the more
also.
you're here, the better.
Yes, this is my family also. So I'll stick around, Mike. If you
All
don't
right.
mind.
Good.
And don't think that just because you're sticking around gets you out of being able to
Answer questions.